baby had only been home for 2 days. Marcus Johnson sat on the couch, rocking his tiny daughter against his chest. Her soft breaths warmed his shirt as she slept. His wife, Emily, rested in the recliner across the living room. Her eyes were tired, but they carried a glow that only new mothers have. Everything felt peaceful. The world outside didn't matter. Not the loud lawnmowers, not the buzzing HOA emails, just the sound of his baby's breathing. Then came the knock. Knock, knock, knock. Sharp, loud, demanding. Emily's eyes shot open. Who could that be? At this hour? She whispered. Marcus stood slowly, careful not to wake the baby. I'll check, he said. When he opened the door, his heart sank. Standing there was Karen Miller, head of the neighborhood's HOA. She was tall, thin, and carried the kind of frown that looked permanent. Behind her were 2 other HOA board members, both staring like judges about to deliver a sentence. Marcus, Karen said, her voice sharp as glass. We need to talk. Right now. Marcus adjusted his daughter in his arms. Karen, it's late. My wife just gave birth. Can this wait? Karen's eyes narrowed. That's exactly why I'm here. Your wife was seen outside yesterday with that baby, and we need to make sure the child is safe. Emily, overhearing, stepped to the doorway. Her face turned pale. Safe? What are you talking about? Karen crossed her arms. We have rules in this community. We expect standards, and we're not sure your situation fits those standards. Marcus clenched his jaw. He had served his country for 12 years as a Navy SEAL. He had stared down enemies in deserts and oceans. But right now, with his daughter in his arms and his wife beside him, his blood boiled hotter than ever. Are you saying my child isn't welcome here? He asked, his voice low. Karen leaned forward, lowering her tone like she was whispering gossip. What I'm saying is that people in this neighborhood are concerned. We don't know if your wife can handle a newborn properly, and honestly, we don't know much about you either. You keep to yourself, you're different from the rest of us. Emily gasped. Different? You mean because my husband is black? Karen didn't flinch. She gave a thin smile. I didn't say that. But rules are rules. Now, if you just hand me the baby, we can... Marcus cut her off. His voice thundered through the hallway. You want me to hand you my child? The other HOA members shifted uncomfortably. One of them, an older man with glasses, muttered, Karen, maybe this isn't... But Karen silenced him with a glare. Emily clutched Marcus's arm. Marcus, don't, please. Marcus looked down at his daughter. Her tiny fingers gripped his shirt like she could feel the tension. He took a deep breath, forcing his voice steady. Karen, he said, you need to leave. Right now. Karen's smile faded. Her face hardened. If you won't cooperate, then we'll escalate this. You'll hear from the HOA board. And trust me, Marcus, we always win. With that, she turned sharply and walked down the porch steps, her heels clicking like a warning. The other board members followed, but both avoided eye contact with Marcus as they left. Emily shut the door with trembling hands. She turned to Marcus, tears in her eyes. She can't do this, can she? Marcus kissed the top of her head. She's messing with the wrong family. She has no idea who she's dealing with. But deep inside, Marcus knew this wasn't over. Karen wasn't just going to walk away. She was going to come back. And next time, she'd push even harder. What would you do if someone like Karen came to your door and demanded your baby? Let me know in the comments below, because the story is just getting started. That night, Marcus barely slept. His Navy instincts told him to stay alert. He kept one hand near the crib, his ears tuned to every sound outside. At 2 a.m., he swore he heard footsteps near the window. He moved quietly, peeking through the blinds. And there she was, Karen, standing at the edge of the lawn, staring at the house like a hawk. Marcus's blood ran cold. This wasn't about HOA rules anymore. This was something darker, something dangerous. The war he thought he left behind had just followed him home. The morning sun poured into the living room, but Marcus felt no warmth. He had barely closed his eyes the night before. Every creak, every shadow outside made him tighten his grip on the baseball bat he kept near the couch. Emily stirred awake, holding the baby close. Marcus, she whispered, did you sleep at all? He shook his head. Karen was outside watching. She thinks she can scare us. Emily's face paled. She was here? At night? Yeah, Marcus said firmly. But if she comes back, I'll be ready. Emily sighed, kissing their daughter's forehead. "This isn't fair. We just brought her home. We should be enjoying this, not fighting off some crazy neighbor." Marcus crouched in front of her chair. He touched her hand gently. "I promised to protect this family. I kept that promise overseas and I'll keep it here." Before Emily could reply, there was another knock at the door. Knock, knock, knock. This time it wasn't sharp and loud. It was slow, taunting. Marcus's muscles tightened. He carefully set the bat by his side and opened the door. Karen stood there again. But this time she wasn't alone. 2 police officers flanked her. "Good morning, Mr. Johnson," Karen said sweetly, as if last night hadn't happened. "I told you this wasn't over." Emily gasped. "You called the police?" Karen folded her arms. "I told them I was concerned for the baby's safety. A young mother who might be overwhelmed. A father who, well, has a history we know nothing about." The taller officer stepped forward. "Sir, we got a call about a possible welfare check. Do you mind if we come in and see the child?" Emily's eyes filled with tears. "This is insane." "I'm fine. The baby is fine. She's feeding well, sleeping, everything." Marcus held up a hand to calm her. He faced the officers. "Gentlemen, with respect, this is my home. My wife and I are doing just fine. There's no reason for you to be here other than her lies." He nodded toward Karen. Karen smirked. "If you've got nothing to hide, you shouldn't mind proving it." Marcus stepped forward, lowering his voice so only Karen could hear. "You're playing a dangerous game, and you're going to lose." For a moment, something flickered in Karen's eyes. Not fear, something closer to excitement. Like she enjoyed pushing him. The shorter officer cleared his throat. "Sir, maybe if we could just see the baby, we can close this out." Emily looked at Marcus, pleading. "Let them. Please, we have nothing to hide." Marcus nodded reluctantly. He led the officers inside. Emily gently lifted the baby, showing her swaddled and peaceful in her arms. The officers softened instantly. "She looks healthy," one said with a small smile. "Congrats, folks. You've got a beautiful little girl." Emily managed a weak smile. "Thank you." Karen's jaw tightened. She wasn't getting the result she wanted. The taller officer turned to her. "Ma'am, everything looks fine here. We'll file this as resolved," Karen sputtered. But you can't just leave. You don't know these people like I do." The officer frowned. "Ma'am, we're done here. Please don't waste police time with false reports." Marcus walked them out. But as the officers returned to their cruiser, Karen lingered on the porch. She leaned in, her voice dripping with venom. "You may have fooled them today, but I'll be back. You don't belong here, and neither does she." Marcus's fists clenched. Every muscle in his body wanted to snap back, but he forced himself to stay calm. He wouldn't give Karen the satisfaction of seeing him lose control. When he closed the door, Emily broke down in tears. "Marcus, she's never going to stop, is she?" He wrapped his arms around her. "No, but neither will I. If you were in Marcus and Emily's shoes, how would you deal with Karen? Would you fight back or try to ignore her? Comment below. Because trust me, Karen's not finished yet." That night, Marcus decided to take action. He set up small security cameras around the house, one by the front porch, one near the baby's room window, and another by the back gate. As he adjusted the last camera, he caught movement across the street. Karen stood in her yard, phone in hand, watching him. He raised a brow and waved, mocking her surveillance. She didn't wave back. She only lifted her phone and snapped a photo of him. Emily saw from the window. "She's unhinged." "Marcus, what if she tries to take this further?" Marcus came inside and shut the blinds. "Let her try. She's poking at the wrong man." Hours later, as the house fell quiet, Marcus checked the live feed from the cameras. Everything seemed normal. The street was empty. The lawn was still. Until midnight, the motion sensor pinged. Marcus tapped the screen. His heart dropped. Karen was back. This time she wasn't alone. 2 other women from the HOA stood with her, and one of them was holding a clipboard. They weren't on the sidewalk. They were on his lawn, walking straight toward the house. Marcus stood, his blood pounding. Emily whispered from the bedroom, "What is it?" He stared at the screen, rage building in his chest. "They're here, and they're coming for us." The security feed showed Karen marching up the lawn like she owned it. Behind her, 2 women from the HOA clutched clipboards and papers. Their expressions weren't friendly. They looked like soldiers following a commander. Marcus clenched his jaw. She just doesn't quit. Emily hurried to his side, baby in her arms. What does she want this time? Marcus watched the screen. She's not knocking. She's trespassing. As if on cue, the front doorknob rattled. Rattle, rattle. Then came a loud bang. Bang, bang, bang. Open up. Karen's voice pierced through the door. This is official HOA business. You are in violation of community rules, and we are here to enforce them. Emily's face drained of color. Marcus, call the police. He shook his head. No, I'll handle this. He strode to the door and yanked it open. Karen jumped back slightly, but quickly regained her composure. Finally, she sneered. Do you realize how many rules you've broken in the past week? Noise violations, unauthorized decorations. And now, she pointed at the baby cradled in Emily's arms, bringing a newborn into this neighborhood without notifying the HOA board. Emily gasped. That's not even a real rule. The woman with the clipboard flipped through her papers. It's not written down, but it falls under community standards. Marcus stepped forward, his presence towering over them. His voice was calm but dangerous. You're trespassing on private property. You have 5 seconds to leave. Karen scoffed. Or what? You'll scare us with your tough guy act? Marcus leaned in close, his eyes like steel. I don't act. Something in his tone made even the clipboard holder flinch. But Karen wasn't backing down. She raised her chin. This neighborhood doesn't belong to you. Families like yours don't fit here. And if you think you can intimidate me, you're wrong. I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of people you really are. Emily's arms tightened around the baby. Marcus, please, don't let her near us. Marcus pointed at the sidewalk. Leave now. Karen smirked. Fine, but this isn't over. Tomorrow we're calling an emergency HOA meeting, and when we're done, you'll wish you never moved here. The 3 women marched back down the lawn. Karen turned once more, glaring at Marcus like a predator. Then they were gone. The next day, flyers appeared on every doorstep in the neighborhood. Emily picked one up with shaking hands. Emergency HOA meeting, neighbor safety. Concerns. Below the headline was a grainy photo of Marcus, taken the night before while he set up the cameras. The caption read, Do you feel safe with this man in your neighborhood? Emily's voice broke. She's trying to turn everyone against you. Marcus read the flyer, his jaw tightening. She thinks she can smear me. She has no idea. Emily sat on the couch, rocking the baby. Marcus, this isn't just about us anymore. What if people believe her? He crouched in front of her. Then I'll show them the truth. But I won't let her win. Not in my home. Not with my family. That evening, the HOA meeting was held in the neighborhood clubhouse. Marcus didn't want to go, but Emily insisted. You can't let her tell her story without us there to defend ourselves, she said. So Marcus put on a clean shirt, tucked his navy dog tags under his collar, and walked into the lion's den. The clubhouse was packed. Neighbors sat in folding chairs, murmuring quietly. At the front, Karen stood with her clipboard like a queen addressing her court. Thank you for coming on such short notice, she began, her voice dripping with authority. We are here to discuss a serious threat to our community. A man who refuses to follow rules. A man who hides his past. A man who could endanger us all. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Some heads turned toward Marcus. Emily gripped his hand. Stay calm, she whispered. Karen held up a large photo. Marcus caught on camera with his bat by the window. This is what I saw last night. A man armed, prowling his own home like a criminal. Ask yourself, is this the kind of person you want living next door? Marcus stood. His voice cut through the murmurs. That photo was taken after you trespassed on my property, after you tried to intimidate my wife and my newborn child. Karen smirked. That's his version of the story. But what do we really know about him? Nothing. He won't share where he came from. He won't say what he does. He could be dangerous. Marcus's chest rose and fell. He wanted to explode, but he forced his voice steady. You want to know who I am? The room went silent. I served this country for 12 years. Navy SEAL, multiple tours overseas. I've risked my life so you can sit here in peace. And now I'm being treated like an enemy in my own neighborhood. By someone who's never fought for anything but control. Gasps spread across the room. A few people clapped softly. Karen's smile faltered, but she quickly recovered. Nice story, she said coldly. But words are cheap. You can claim anything. Marcus pulled his dog tags from under his shirt and held them high. These aren't words. They're proof. The room erupted in murmurs again. Some neighbors nodded in respect. Others looked uncertain. Karen's face twisted with frustration. This doesn't change the fact that you broke rules, that you don't belong here. Marcus stepped closer, his voice low but firm. The only person who doesn't belong here is you, because no real neighbor would ever try to steal someone's child. Karen's eyes blazed. Careful, Marcus. You don't know who you're dealing with. Marcus stared right back. Neither do you. Do you think the neighbors will side with Marcus, or will Karen's lies win them over? Comment your guess, because the next part will change everything. As the meeting ended, Marcus walked out with Emily and the baby. Neighbors whispered, some offering supportive nods, others avoiding eye contact. But as they reached the parking lot, Marcus spotted Karen standing in the shadows. She wasn't smiling anymore. Her eyes were cold, calculating. She lifted her phone, snapped another photo of him holding his daughter, and whispered loud enough for him to hear. This isn't finished. Not even close. The house was quiet that night, but Marcus couldn't relax. The HOA meeting had changed things. Karen wasn't just a nosy neighbor anymore. She was a threat. He checked the security cameras one more time. Nothing. The street was empty. The yard was still. Emily tried to reassure him. Maybe after the meeting she'll back down. People saw how crazy she looked. Marcus shook his head. She's not done. Not by a long shot. Emily rocked the baby in her arms. I just want us to live normal. Like everyone else. Marcus touched her shoulder gently. We will. But first I have to protect us from her. At 3 a.m., the alarm pinged. Motion detected. Marcus snapped awake, phone in hand. He tapped the feed, and his stomach dropped. Karen. She was back. Only this time she wasn't alone. 2 men were with her, dressed in dark hoodies. They weren't HOA board members. Their faces were hidden, and they weren't on the sidewalk. They were climbing the fence into the backyard. Marcus moved fast. Years of training took over. He grabbed the bat by the bed, but then set it down. Not enough. He opened the closet and pulled out the locked case. Inside was a handgun, safely stored since he left the Navy. He checked it quickly, loaded. Emily stirred awake, clutching the baby. Marcus, what's happening? He kissed her forehead. Stay in the room. Lock the door. No matter what you hear, don't open it. Emily's eyes widened with fear. Marcus? But he was already moving. The back door creaked. Someone was trying to force it open. Marcus waited in the dark kitchen, body still, breath calm. The lock snapped. The door swung open. Karen slipped in first, whispering to the men behind her. Quiet, just grab the baby and go. He can't stop us. Marcus stepped forward, gun low but ready. His voice was like thunder. Try me. Karen froze. The 2 men stiffened. One reached for something in his waistband. Marcus's aim snapped up instantly. Don't, Marcus growled. One more move and you'll regret it. The men hesitated, glancing at Karen. She hissed at them. Do it, he's bluffing. Marcus's eyes burned. Lady, I don't bluff. For a tense moment. No one moved. Then one of the men bolted for the door. The other followed. They vanished into the night, leaving Karen alone in the kitchen. She spun toward Marcus, her face twisted with rage. You think you can scare me? I'll ruin you. I'll take everything you have. That baby should have been mine. Marcus cut her off, stepping closer. His voice was ice. Say one more word about my daughter, and I swear you won't step foot in this house again. Karen's eyes widened. For the first time, she looked rattled. She stumbled back toward the door, muttering curses. When she was gone, Marcus locked every door and window. He leaned against the wall, his chest heaving. Emily came running, baby in her arms. Marcus, are you okay? He pulled them both into his arms. I'm fine. But this ends tomorrow. I'm done waiting for her to stop. Now I'm taking the fight to her. The next morning, Marcus called the police. He showed them the camera footage, Karen breaking in with 2 masked men. The officer whistled softly. That's serious. She's not just a nuisance anymore. She's committing crimes. Emily held the baby close. Will you arrest her? The officer nodded. We'll bring her in for questioning. But don't let your guard down. People like this don't always go quietly. As the police car pulled away, Marcus stood in the driveway. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains, whispering. He didn't care. Let them talk. Let them finally see Karen for what she was. But deep down, he knew this wasn't the end. Karen wasn't the type to surrender. She'd come back one way or another. And when she did, he'd be ready. If you were Marcus, would you have confronted Karen head-on? Or waited for the police to handle it? Let me know in the comments, because the final showdown is coming next. That evening, Emily tried to calm the storm of fear in the house. She lit a candle, played soft music, and rocked their daughter in the nursery. Marcus sat nearby, eyes fixed on the window. "Marcus," Emily whispered, "promise me this ends soon." "I can't live like this. Our baby can't grow up in fear." Marcus nodded. "I promise. One way or another, this ends tonight." At midnight, the cameras pinged again. Marcus checked the feed. His heart pounded. Karen. This time, she wasn't sneaking. She was marching straight up the driveway, alone, her face wild, her hands shaking. Marcus stood locking eyes with Emily. "Stay here. Don't move." He walked to the front door and opened it before Karen could knock. She stared at him, eyes blazing with something between hate and madness. "You think you won, Navy boy? You think calling the cops will save you?" Marcus stood tall, unflinching. "This is over, Karen. Walk away while you still can." But Karen only laughed, a chilling sound in the night air. "No, this doesn't end until that baby is mine." Karen stood on the porch, her eyes wild, her words cutting through the night. "This doesn't end until that baby is mine." Marcus stepped forward, his voice low and steady. "Karen, if you take one more step, you'll regret it for the rest of your life." But she didn't flinch. She shoved her way past him, storming into the house like she owned it. Emily screamed from the nursery, clutching the baby tight. "Get out of my house!" Karen's voice cracked, trembling with obsession. "She belongs with me." "Not with you. You don't deserve her." Marcus moved fast. In seconds, he was between Karen and his wife. His SEAL instincts kicked in. He positioned his body like a wall, every muscle ready to strike if she came closer. "Karen," he warned, "leave. Right now." She shook her head violently. "No, you can't stop me." "No one can stop me." Emily's tears streamed down her face. "Why are you doing this?" "What did we ever do to you?" Karen's face twisted with rage. "You moved here. You ruined everything. You think you're better than us, but you don't belong." "None of you belong!" For a moment, the house was silent except for the baby's cries. Then blue and red lights flashed through the windows. Sirens wailed outside. Karen's eyes widened. "No, no, no, no." Police pounded on the door. "Open up, police!" Emily clutched the baby, sobbing with relief. Marcus opened the door. Officers stormed in, grabbing Karen before she could move. She screamed, kicking and thrashing. "She's mine. That baby is mine. You can't do this to me." The officers restrained her, pulling her out the door. Her shrieks echoed down the street until the cruiser doors slammed shut. Silence filled the house again. Emily collapsed into Marcus's arms, shaking. "It's over." "Please tell me it's over." Marcus held her tight, kissing the top of her head. "It's over. She'll never come near us again." The next morning, neighbors gathered outside. Word had spread. Everyone had seen the flashing lights, the arrest, the chaos. For the first time, people weren't whispering about Marcus and Emily. They were approaching them. A woman from across the street came over, her voice soft. "I'm so sorry. We should have believed you. We didn't know how bad it was." Marcus nodded. "It's done now. What matters is keeping our families safe." A man stepped forward, holding out his hand. "Thank you for standing up to her. You showed us what real strength looks like." Marcus shook his hand, but his eyes softened when he looked at Emily and the baby. "Strength isn't about fighting. It's about protecting the people you love." Emily smiled through her tears. "That's why you'll always be our hero." The baby cooed softly, nestled between them. For the first time in days, Marcus felt peace. That night, Marcus sat on the porch, watching the sunset. Emily joined him, baby asleep in her arms. "Think she'll ever come back?" Emily asked quietly. Marcus shook his head. "Not after this. She's facing charges, and even if she tried, she knows now. I'm not someone she can break." Emily leaned against his shoulder. "I just want to raise our daughter in peace." "You will," Marcus promised. "Because no matter what, I'll always protect you both." That's my mission now. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the Johnson family finally breathed easy. The nightmare was over, and in its place was something stronger than fear, something no Karen could ever take away. Family. If you stood with Marcus through this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful stories like this one. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were in his shoes? Because sometimes real strength isn't about fighting. It's about protecting the people you love.